Yeah, Mark, let's go, get in here. What now? You know, if I gave you a penny for your thoughts, you'd have to give me change. Hey, get that door closed. Why? Because I'm a history teacher and I'm going rogue. Okay? Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. And who do you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Turn them out. Knaves all three. Yes, that little ditty was not what it seems to be. You know, in an effort to make bath time a little more appropriate for our toddlers while they're hanging with Mr. Bubble, we would change the words of the original. See, here's what the people would sing in 15th century England. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 maids in a tub. And who do you think is there? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. And all of them gone to the fair. Whoa, maids in a tub? Yes, rub-a-dub-dub is something akin to tisk-tisk. And why are the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker there? When I go to the fair, it's to watch a pie baking contest, or watch other 50-year-olds at the REO Speedwagon concert, or watch some guy throwing up getting off the zipper. Clearly, there's a lot more going on at the medieval fairs than the fairs of today. It was not uncommon to see some of the local ladies in a tub for the local businessmen to watch. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Preverts. So, Yesterclass, when we were looking at the hidden meanings of nursery rhymes that were popular during 16th century England, the Tudor dynasty, today we're looking at nursery rhymes from the 17th century, the era of the Stuart dynasty. Let's go rogue. Elizabeth I, second daughter of Henry VIII, became queen in 1559. She never married. I guess she was self-partnered, kind of like Emma Watson. Actually, you know, if she never married, she obviously never, I mean, she must have been a virgin all of her life, and that earned her the moniker, the Virgin Queen. In fact, the English originally referred to North America as Virginia in honor of their Virgin Queen. Elizabeth died in 1603. Virgin, no kids, no heir to the throne. So the English had to bring in a new family to run the country, a Scottish family, the Stuarts. And so, in 1603, James VI of Scotland became James I of England. Unlike Elizabeth, who let Parliament do most of the governing, James let the people of England know that it was his show. He ruled by divine right. So the English went back to being kicked around. Things didn't get any better when James died. His son Charles I ruled in just as heavy a fashion as his father. This led the English to complain. Jack Sprat could eat no fat. His wife could eat no lean. But together both, they licked the platter clean. So who's Jack Sprat and who's his wife? Well, Jack Sprat is Charles I. He could eat no fat because Parliament refused to fund a war that Charles wanted against Spain. His wife, who could eat no lean, was Queen Henrietta Maria. Yikes, she's a looker. Who tried to impose taxes on those that opposed her husband's requests. Together, they licked the platter clean. Between 1625 and 1629, Charles disbanded Parliament 3 different times, therefore licking the platter clean. Charles also engaged in a campaign of religious harassment of Puritans, those that sought to purify the Anglican Church. By 1642, Parliament and the Puritans decided it was time to get rid of Charles, and civil war broke out between Parliament and the Sprats. Charles. The armies of Parliament were led by the Puritan Oliver Cromwell and were referred to as Roundheads because of the round helmets they wore into battle. Supporters of the monarchy were referred to as Cavaliers because of their expertise on horseback, from the French word chevalier, for horse. Then there was Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Humpty Dumpty may have originated with Richard III, who fell off of his horse at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485 and was chopped to pieces by his rivals. Maybe. But just as Disney has lost any sense of creativity and is now simply producing live-action versions of its cartoons, the English recalled Humpty Dumpty during the English Civil War, a century and a half later. One story has it that in August 1643, the Royalist Cavaliers, all the king's horses and all the king's men, laid siege to the walled city of Gloucester, a stronghold of parliamentary forces. To access the top of the city's walls, they constructed a siege tower, which probably fell over. No matter how hard they tried, the Royalists couldn't put the tower together again. Eventually, they gave up the siege, and the Roundheads mocked their retreat by reciting Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty may have also been a huge cannon mounted on the Royalists on the walls of the Church of St. Mary at the Wall in Colchester in 1648. The cannon was effective at fighting off the Roundheads until it itself was brought down by cannon fire and had a great fall. Attempts to raise the heavy cannon back into place failed, and no matter how hard they tried, the Cavaliers, all the king's horses and all the king's men, couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Or maybe Humpty Dumpty was Charles I's head, which was lopped off after his supporters lost the English Civil War. No, that's not true. Well, he was executed, but his head is not Humpty Dumpty. England went without a king for a decade, under the Puritan Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell. After Cromwell died, England wanted to go back to the system that they knew best, a monarchy. And following strict rules of succession, the English chose Charles II to be their king, the son of the king that they had just executed. His first order of business was digging up Oliver Cromwell's body and having him hanged for treason. Charles was known as a philanderer. Seesaw sack a day. Monmouth is a pretty boy. Richmond is another. Grafton is my only joy. And why should I these three destroy to please a pious brother? Well, the Dukes of Monmouth, Richmond, and Grafton were Charles' illegitimate children. And when Charles died, the crown passed not to any of those guys, but to his pious brother, James II. But things were turning against the Stuarts. A wind was beginning to blow across the English Channel. A wind that could rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. English traders had gone to America and saw how the women of certain native groups would put their babies to sleep in a hammock high up in a tree. That visual may have led to the veiled threats against James II. The baby in this rhyme is the newborn son of James II. The cradle is the Stuart monarchy itself, a Catholic monarchy of whom the Protestant English were becoming tired. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. The wind was a Protestant dynasty in the Netherlands, William and Mary of Orange, that was gaining the support of the English. Support for James was broken when the bough breaks, and James came down along with the House of Stuart. The first recorded version of this refrain was accompanied by a warning. This may serve as a warning to the proud and ambitious who climb so high that they generally fall at last. It probably wasn't the note that drove James from England, but for some reason, James hopped a boat and made for France in 1688, abdicating his throne and ending the Stuart dynasty. The English refer to this as the Glorious Revolution or the Bloodless Revolution that brought the monarchy of William and Mary to London from the Netherlands and ended the reign of the Stuarts. So, thanks for stopping by. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something about nursery rhymes, or maybe both. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you've probably moved on to something else by now. Good riddance. Leave a comment, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. We talk about history, popular culture, sports, weird stuff like nursery rhymes. I want to thank my producer, Casey Moulton. And who's that on the teleprompter again? Valens, the old Byzantine Emperor Valens. Also want to thank Mr. Brent Allen for letting us use his studio here on the campus of Columbia High School. I had fun, but I won't quit my day job. And I hope to see you again real soon. Remember, I'm Mark Haggard. I'm a history teacher. And I've gone rogue. Have you seen Junior's grades? And the cradle will rock. Yeah, the cradle will rock. Come on, rock on.